Hello everyone, today we tell a shocking story of a young environmentalist. Did Jiang kidnap his daughter? Old Jiang is heading to the police station to confirm. Even though old Jiang was in a total panic, he didn't just take someone's word for it. He called immigration to confirm if his daughter was really back. Spot move. To his shock, he found out that his daughter had entered the country a whole week ago. Old Jiang was truly panicking. Is she back? But she hasn't contacted him at all. Where on earth is she? Thinking about that letter and the messenger's words, old Jiang wanted to tell Sheng, on the other hand, was feeling incredibly cocky and overconfident to talk about pushing the limits of audacity. Clearly, there are other accomplices. Thinking his daughter was in a monster's hands, old Jiang abandoned his professional ethics. He was desperate to save her. He pulled out a scalpel, ready to make a bloody sacrifice to his dog. Now that's a wild move. He prepared to swap human blood on his dismemberment saw, pouring special solution mad scientist experiment. He ruined the heme on the saw and rinsed it in the sink. Now that blood was washed away. It was like a DIY crime cleanup. Lastly, he smeared dog blood onto the saw, destroying vital evidence. What a clever move. When they discovered the saw had dog blood, the police were stunned. The murderer was right under their noses, but they just needed a breakthrough. But here's the twist: old Jiang, a seasoned coroner, was breaking the law behind his colleagues' backs. What a sneaky pickle. In the legal system, he knew how cumbersome legal procedures can be. He feared his daughter wouldn't survive if he delayed calling the police. Desperate to save his daughter, old Jiang took a risk and struck a deal with the killer Sheng. What a life or death gamble. After all this, old Jiang claimed he wanted to question Sheng about the case, and of course, chaos ensued. He walked in, pulled out his phone, and made Sheng call his accomplices. He needed to know if his daughter was safe. Clever thinking. Although Sheng was grumbling inside, he dialed his mate's number under old Jiang's intense stare. No more arguing. Hearing this, old Jiang panicked and snatched the phone, begging the person on the other end not to harm his daughter, but all he got was the dial tone. How ridiculous. It dawned on him that had been played by Sheng. He hadn't even dialed the right number. No wonder he was fuming. Fueled by anger, old Jiang lunged at Sheng and pinned him down, gripping his neck tightly. Talk about a superhero moment. Sheng was turning blue as he struggled to breathe, but just then, the phone rang. Old Jiang snapped back to reality and let go. What a dramatic moment. The call dropped, and old Jiang was left in the dark about his daughter's situation. His anxiety was through the roof. To save her, he had to get Sheng out fast. The saw was already handled, but the key weapon what pierced the victim's skull was still out there. Old Jiang had to find and destroy that weapon before the cops did. Time was of the essence. But Sheng wasn't in a hurry to go anywhere. He simply told old Jiang the weapon was at his place, and the exact location. Well, that's for old Jiang to figure out. Sheng's house was already sealed off by the police, so old Jiang had to break a window at midnight to sneak in. He found himself at Sheng's house. He stumbled upon a picture of the victim, in Yao, with a friend. Could this be the breakthrough he needed? A stroke of luck. He approached Yao's friend for details, only to learn she didn't know Sheng. She was only close with her boyfriend, fat brother. What a letdown. And Sheng claimed he killed Yao for environmental reasons. If not her, it would have been someone else. Talk about a bad joke. Old Jiang knew too well that there's always a reason behind a murder. Something definitely went down between Sheng and Yao. But before old Jiang could delve, Ying called for the report. A timely rescue. With the dismemberment weapon out of the picture, the only things left to incriminate Sheng were the murder weapon and the autopsy report. Time to get moving. Learning that the police were about to search Sheng's house, old Jiang hung up and rushed over. No time to waste. Determined to find that weapon, old Jiang searched frantically and then spotted a pull ring on the floor. What a lucky find. He got excited, thinking the weapon might be hidden beneath, but the flooring was so tight he couldn't budge it. Luckily, old Jiang had his scalpel after drawing dog's blood. He quickly pried up the floorboard, a surprising advantage. But when he lifted it, it was full of clutter. No weapon in sight. Old Jiang was utterly disappointed. Just when old Jiang thought he was out of luck, he spotted a photograph of Sheng posing with a guy in a hat. Suddenly, everything. That guy in the hat was the one who kidnapped his daughter and sent her those pictures. Old Jiang quickly grabbed the photo. Whippy. But just then, he heard the screech of tires outside. The cops were here. What terrible timing. Too late to leave, old Jiang sought shelter but accidentally dropped the scalpel. A blunder. An officer entered, took it, thinking it crucial evidence. Old Jiang, hiding, was anxious, a real nail-biter. Waiting impatiently for the cops to leave, fate smiled upon him as they received a dispatch order. What a lucky break. They found a homemade sharp steel rod in a dumpster, covered in blood. Talk about a smoking gun. This matched the description from the autopsy, so they carted it away. Once the cops were gone, old Jiang sprang into action. He confirmed the identity of the hat guy. He was Peng Jai, who'd been raised by Sheng's father after losing his own parents. This was later, he fell in love with Sheng's sister, Xu Zhen, but sadly, they hit a rough patch. She died under mysterious circumstances. What a heart-wrenching tale. Heartbroken, Peng Jai left with Sheng and never came back. Old Jiang still held a glimmer of hope. What a moving story. Old Jiang sought clues about his daughter, but found the house full of photos of them. They'd been watched all along. Spooky. But old Jiang was just a coroner. Why track him? He found an old newspaper from over a decade ago. Thought-provoking.